Hey guys, welcome to another TFL behind the scenes video, and today I've got Case to help me go buy a Corvette.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty exciting purchase.
As you know, we're doing a series called From Stud to Dud, where we're buying 3 convertibles to find out who made the best 90s convertible. Was it the Americans? Was it the Germans, or was it the Japanese? And today we're going to go look at an American car. What are we looking at, Case?
Yeah, we're looking at a C4 Corvette convertible, which is going to be pretty cool. Unpopular opinion, but the Corvette is my favorite of these 3 cars that we're trying to get.
Now, it's at a dealership, which already has me a little worried.
Yeah.
And I KBB'd the car. It's an early 90s convertible with a stick shift, which is the least popular, by the way, because people want the rigidity of the coupe. And of course, very few, let's face it, old guys who buy these things actually drive stick shifts. So you've got the least popular, but yet they're 50% above the market.
It's something like 80% of C4 Corvettes are automatics, and that's what most people back in the day wanted from these cars. And yeah, the dealership wants way too much money for the one that we're going to look at today, but...
And the market's changing, right? It's gone from crazy expensive to now kind of careening through the atmosphere and heading toward the ocean and exploding in what should be the proper market value. So I don't think these guys are going to go to our budget of $10K, but we'll take it for a drive.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. See what we're getting into.
But to get there, we're taking this.
Yeah, this is a brand new Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport, and this is pretty much the top model. SEL Premium, V6, all-wheel drive, R-Line.
Let's look under the hood. How much horsepower, Case?
At 276 horsepower, this Atlas, the base model gets a 4-cylinder with 235 horsepower.
All-wheel drive, of course, which is nice. And let's see how much room there is. I'm going to sit behind myself and see if I can actually fit. And the answer is, I do fit. A little bit of a lack of headroom, and that's because this has that full length sunroof, and that always cuts a couple inches of headroom, but ample leg room, and you know, everything is kind of very utilitarian, and I guess that's what you want out of a crossover. How much does this bad boy cost about?
So starting price is around $34,000, and then if you get a really spec'd out model with the bigger engine and all-wheel drive and the fancier interior, it's around about $51,000, which is what we're looking at here. All
right, well, let's hit the road and let's go check out this Corvette. We're going to take you guys with us and see if we can buy ourselves a Corvette. So I'm not a big fan of buying stuff at dealerships, especially used stuff, because you're always paying a premium, right? Because you have to leave some money on the bone for the dealer. But you know, I KBB'd this Corvette, and it's worth about $9K today. Here's something interesting. So as you know, I have friends who are buying and selling pretty interesting classic cars, and I'll give you an example of what the market is doing. I have a friend who is selling 86 911 for, well, 3 weeks ago, $70,000.
Right.
We just talked to her yesterday. Guess how much?
50?
50.
Really?
Yeah. $20,000 drop in less than 3 weeks.
You know, and I think that there are some, especially private sellers and also some dealers, that have yet to figure out that the market is taking a dive, and they don't want to take these big hits on cars that they've bought when the market was at a premium, but the market's just going to keep going down.
Now, here's another interesting one. I've been on Craigslist looking for this Corvette, and I noticed there was a brand new 2022 911 GT3 for sale. And those are like $160,000, $170,000 cars if you get them at sticker. A month ago, it was on Craigslist for $259,000. Guess how much it's on Craigslist for today?
180?
$209,000.
$209,000. So that's a big loss.
Yeah, they dropped the. Look at that helmet. They dropped the price by $50K, which is pretty crazy. So, you know, I used to do this real estate company, right?
Right.
And there was a kind of a trainer who would train realtors, and he would do this analogy, and it's absolutely true, and it's a fish analogy, right? And you're fishing, right? And the idea is, if the market is going down, you want to be where the fish are, because otherwise you're following the fish down and you'll never sell the house. So let's say the fish are right here and your bait is up here, which is where the Corvette is, right? The fish aren't going to bite, right? Because they're down here. So when you figure out that the fish are down here, you lower the bait, you put it where the fish are, but by that point the fish are down here.
Yeah.
So you stair step down and you eventually end up losing more money selling a home by overpricing it than you do by pricing it where the market's at.
Yeah, because the market's just going to continue to ramp down as we go forward, and so the longer that they leave this Corvette on their lot, the bigger of a loss they're going to take.
Yeah, but I don't think that's how dealers think.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably hoping that the market's going to pick back up.
Exactly, or that that they'll find that perfect person who's looking for a C4. Now, tell me about the C4, dude. I think the C4 right now is about as depreciated as it's going to get. If this were, let's say, a regular run-of-the-mill C4 it doesn't have a convertible. It's got kind of a target top, right? The whole top comes off of them. And if it was an automatic, this would be maybe like a $8,000 car today.
Yeah, I mean, they're really not worth a lot of money, which is kind of the cool thing about them, because this is a very much overlooked car from that era. Nostalgia hasn't really caught up to this era of vehicles, but the C4 Corvette came out in the model year '84, and those early cars, the '80s C4s had a really cool interior with this blocky dash, and they had the liquid crystal metallic instrument cluster. But the series that we're doing with convertibles is all about 90s convertibles. So we're looking at 90s C4 Corvettes. Yeah, they did a mid-cycle refresh, so new interior starting in 1990. And that's what we're going to look at today.
And they lost that cool display.
Yeah, so the interior is not quite as cool and nostalgic as the older ones, at least in my opinion, but still a pretty cool car that you should be able to get for a very reasonable amount of money, unless somebody just has this price in mind that is pretty unrealistic.
So let's talk about classics, right? And I think when you're into a car that's 30 years old, you're definitely into a classic, right?
Yeah.
So here's kind of my experience with classics. If it's a concourse level classic, I'm talking about like Pebble Beach, complete restoration, there's probably only 7 things wrong with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
They always have issues.
They always have issues. So if you were to pay $15,000 for this car, right? Yep. I promise you, the second you bring it home, you're going to be going to your mechanic, right, and spending another $2,000 to fix stuff that you maybe didn't notice at the dealership. So that's why when they're asking $15,000, right, I'm already thinking $17,000 if we're lucky, plus whatever, other fees or add-ons they tack onto it. So now you're looking at a car that's worth, on the used car private market, at $9,000, basically double the price.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not too optimistic that we'll be driving home with a Corvette today, because they may be like, oh, we'll do 500, and I'll be like, no, I'll do 10,000, and that'll be the end of it.
Luckily, to the Corvette's credit, and especially unlike the 500 SL that we just bought, getting parts for a Corvette is generally pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, it's a Chevy 350.
Yeah, and it's also a Chevy V8. It's not a especially unreliable engine, so maintenance and buying parts for the car isn't too difficult. But yeah, I mean, older vehicles, you're always going to have something go wrong eventually. It's going to cost you money. And yet $15,000 for a C4 Corvette that's not a ZR1 or not a Grand Sport, I mean, that's right at the top of the market. You can get an impeccable Corvette C4 for around about $12,000.
Yeah, you were saying there was one on Bring a Trailer that just sold for $12,000.
34,000 miles. It was stunning. Every single thing that could be right about it was right about it, and it sold for $12,200. So for $15,000, you've got to have a really, really nice car.
I would say that C4 better be coming off the Bowling Green Museum.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see like factory inspection markings on it. I want to see the concourse level stuff. I want to see the original window sticker. I mean, for $15,000, it's got to be really good.
Yeah, and when I said earlier, I said, 500, I meant they're going to want to go $500 off, and I'm going to want to go 5,000 off.
Yeah.
And the two aren't going to meet. But that's okay. We've got another one we're going to go look at tomorrow. This one's Blurple. So if this one doesn't work, then tomorrow we're going to go look at a private party. He also wants 15, but I think with an individual seller, they're more likely to like see the reality of the situation, whereas dealers are going to be like, no, this guy's just being silly.
Yeah, the private party is probably also going to be closer to the real figure of what it's worth. But yeah, I mean, we'll find out.
So here's a Carfax, total loss
structural damage.
But I think there's been one accident reported. That's
Okay.
never good. So that may just take it off.
Yeah.
Let's see what the accident is. So it started in Missouri, and then that was in 3/20 of 91. Missouri 97, Missouri, Illinois. I went to Illinois. This is all bad, Case.
Yeah, which you're from Illinois.
Right. This is all,
those winters are not the easiest.
No, God, no. None of this is good. And then I went to
long
Florida,
time.
which is even worse.
Because of Florida drivers, maybe.
Estero Bay Chevrolet. Oh my God! No, not because of the ocean and the sea salt, right?
Yeah.
So we had this Mark V that my dad left me. I didn't know what to do with it. So
the Lincoln.
The Lincoln. So what I did was I took it down to Florida where my mom had a place, and within 10 years it looked like Swiss cheese. Well, I mean, obviously this is fiberglass, but all this stuff underneath isn't.
Yeah, there's some metal in there too.
There's some metal, and then it came to Colorado in 2012.
Okay.
So there you go, 2012.
Find the accident.
I'm trying to find the accident. Let's get it quite. Let's see where the accident is. Do you see an accident?
Not yet.
Well, right there, damage location, rear.
Okay.
So accident reported with another vehicle, damage to rear, functional damage reported, airbags did not deploy. That was on 2012. So that's why maybe you got that rust.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Or why you don't see rust anywhere.
Functional
the rest of
damage
it.
reported.
Yeah, functional damage is not a great
No.
thing to hear.
No, so airbags deploying is right off.
Yeah.
Just walk away from it.
Yeah.
But functional damage means that
Yeah,
it wasn't minor.
Cosmetic is one thing.
But functional, yeah. We'll take it for a ride, but right now they're asking top dollar for something that is definitely not a top dollar vehicle.
It's pretty far from perfect already.
I would say if you were to ask me, this would be one that, if I had known this, I probably wouldn't even come and look at it at this point.
Yeah.
Right? But because we're doing this video series and I think we want to take you guys along with it, with us, that's why we're here, and it's not far.
The car does look good from the outside. The body looks good.
It's a good looking car. It's resale red.
That's got to be the best thing about the C4 Corvette.
Yeah, that's got to be the best thing about it. Let's pop the hood.
Well, it does look pretty clean under here.
Yeah. What's that sound? Is that the air conditioner, you think?
Yeah, I don't hear anything that sounds too concerning. Yeah, so this is really the most concerning thing we've seen so far. A, knowing that it's had an accident on the rear end, and also seeing, I guess B, there was really no prep done before this paint was sprayed on here. It just kind of makes you wonder how the rest of it was done.
Yeah, how they. Well, should we try the top?
Yeah.
Maybe
We should also see if this works when the radio comes on. So it is an aftermarket head unit,
Okay.
which is never ideal.
Turn it off. I think it's stuck.
Let's see, I do see some latches
They're
here.
probably manual.
So,
It could be manual.
It might just be.
I think it's a manual top.
Yeah, I don't see any switches for power top.
Well, I don't want to force it.
This right here in the console
Yeah.
is the button that you usually use to pop the rear glass on the hardtop models.
Yeah.
And it still has that button, so
You pop something?
that just made a sound. I'm not sure what for.
There we go. Hit the yellow button. Okay, put the visors down, yellow button. There's a lever back in the back. You pull the lever. Pause. So there's a lever back there. So push the yellow button, and then there's a lever back here that you're supposed to slide. I think we figured it out.
There's also a yellow button here.
Hold on, pull the lever. You just locked it again. There we go. Okay, like that. Now we push this button right here. Look, it's a button right here.
Who came up with this process?
Oh, there it goes.
Oh.
Okay, then you lift that. Oh, look.
And there's the original radio.
We found the original radio. Look, we did you a favor. And then this goes under like that. and that comes back down.
It's got to go
underneath.
Yeah, it must tuck.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Like that.
All right. Look at that.
All right. There we go. Engine seems to run fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mechanically, it seems all right so far.
Air conditioner works. I love the fact that American cars have great air conditioners. Outside temperature in Celsius. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, and it's also the center cluster.
Brake?
Center cluster is showing kilometers per hour and also kilometers instead of miles on the odometer.
Look at the brake here.
Oh, that's how that's supposed to be. That's so it can be out of your way when you...
No, this is not how it's supposed to be. Look, the whole thing is...
Yeah, so bring it all the way to the top and then press the button.
It's broken. This is...
Oh, well, yeah, that panel probably shouldn't be like that. But the parking brake is supposed to drop down after you engage it.
All right, let's take it for a ride.
How's the clutch feel?
Clutch feels good. He said we have 2 gallons of gas.
Well,
so what does this thing get? Like
how far does that get you in a Corvette?
4 miles? I'm guessing 2 miles. Am I in first or am I in second? That's first. There we go. It's strong.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad going down the road.
No, it steers straight. It's got a lot of weight to it. You can really feel the heft. Now, the last time I drove a C4 was like in 1990. So it's been a while, Case.
Yeah, back when this was the cutting edge.
Yeah, back when this was the height of technology. So what happened was, of course, for all you Corvette fans, you'll know this, the C3 was kind of neutered, had 180 horsepower.
And it was ancient. I mean, it was 20 years old.
It was ancient. You know, it lived its life through much of the 80s and even some of the 70s. And it was just, you know, it was not a sports car because it lived through the fuel crisis. And so when this came out, everybody was like, oh my God, the Corvette's back, right? So they actually put a lot of engineering into it, a lot of technology. And you can tell that, right, just by the gauge cluster. You've got oil pressure, oil temperature, water temperature, and volts. So there's a lot of information that you're getting through the gauge cluster. And it's kind of cool. It's one of the, you know, first digital gauge clusters.
Well, and I'll be honest, you know, I like the earlier interiors and the earlier dash on these cars, but this is, seeing it up close, this is also a pretty cool interior. I don't think it's boring.
We're on reserve.
We're on reserve already for fuel?
We're on reserve.
How far have we gone?
Too far?
About half a mile.
Yeah, probably too far.
I am glad that at least they have the original radio, because these
are crap.
These modern head units in old cars, it looks wrong and kind of ruins the experience for me.
The other thing is like, look, we've got carpet. Look at the carpet. There's carpet there. There's carpet on the door. I know that was cool back in the day.
You don't like that?
No, I don't mind the carpet. What I do mind is that it smells like old carpet, right? You know what this smells like? It smells like when you go into a house, right, that's 30 years old, where dogs and cats and people have spent a lot of time living in. And, it's got like that old person smell.
We could get some Febreze fabric spray worked into the budget. Also, I love the 90s GM build quality. Man.
Let's see if somebody smoked in it. That's good.
Yeah.
I always like that when nobody's actually smoked in the thing. I think that's pretty cool. This mirror is a little
wobbly.
Yeah, and that's not the one you want to be wobbly. Basically, I can't use it because every time I look at it, I feel like I'm on the Titanic sinking. It's too wobbly. I don't know what else is hidden under here, but there's a lot that this thing could have. It's been a car that's been passed around. It's been a car that has not been loved, and it's been a car that I suspect has, even after looking at the Carfax, just a ton of deferred maintenance, right?
Yeah.
So what I fear is we're going to take this to Toby, and he's going to be like, guys, there's a lot that needs doing it with this car.
I mean, usually I would say, you know, we should pop the hood, check out the blow-by, we should check the oil, we should poke our heads underneath it, but I think we can pretty confidently say that, especially at 15 grand, this is not the car for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think this car is, you know, top of the market, and realistically, it's a bottom of the market car. So if we were living in normal times, which we're getting to, by the way, then this would be like a $7,000, maybe $8,000 car. I think in today's market, it's probably a $9,000 car with somebody who is, God, it's making me, it's actually making me sick looking at this thing. It's so bad. I can't watch that.
It's just moving around too much.
It's just it's not good. So I think even if they were to lower the if we could haggle this down to, let's say, $9,000, I think it's still too rough and too unloved for too long. That's my bottom line.
Especially when you look at it next to, the SL that we got for $9,000, which is a 50,000 mile car in pretty nice shape overall. It'd just be hard to pay significantly more than that for a car that's clearly.
And then you look at the Nissan, right? Z. That thing is like showroom quality.
Yeah, for $8,500, that car could be a year old.
Yeah, it looks like it just came out of a showroom. This shows every year that's been on this planet.
Yeah.
And then some. That is a long throw. Look at that. Look at the distance between third and fourth.
Well, if you think that's bad, you should try driving some of the 80s 4-speed versions of this car.
Yeah.
It's even a truckier transmission.
Yeah, this feels like it's out of a Silverado. I don't suspect that this has its original horsepower. It feels like it's down a little bit. But all old cars are, right?
Yeah.
Some of those horses have
no
left
way
the
around
stable.
that.
Yeah, but to me, like I say, the biggest thing is it just doesn't feel loved. It just feels like it's been kicked around, and I'm worried that there's just a ton of deferred maintenance.
Yeah. There are two kinds of old Corvettes. There's the ones that have been cherished and babied by their original owners or people that still really cared about the kind of cars, and then there are the Corvettes that have been bought by probably the younger person who wanted to drive it hard and didn't necessarily have all the money to maintain it.
Yeah.
I think this is the second kind.
I think this is the second kind, yeah. I think we unfortunately got the second kind. All right, well, we know it's here, so we won't rule it completely out, but let's go look at some more. I'm not opposed to getting one that's just got this must have the little button you push.
It does.
There must be
It's right on there.
There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, look, it's got all the keys at least. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's always a plus. But yeah, it's a little old and tired.
To this car's credit, the body exterior looks really clean when you walk up to it. There's no obvious imperfections. Really, the scariest thing is knowing that it's been in an accident, had an impact on the rear, and opening up this fuel door and seeing what's going on underneath this paint, and the fact that this doesn't really appear to have been properly prepped before it was painted. So it kind of makes you question some of the work that was been done to this car since it had that accident. Interior, exterior, not really in bad shape. The car drives fine, but for $15,000, you kind of expect the best of the best when it comes to these, because $15,000 is a lot of money for a C4 Corvette, and one that's been in an accident and has some genuine red flags. It's just not worth $15,000.
Look, I talked to the guy, and he was like, "You're gonna have a hard time finding one of those," and I'm like,
"Not really.
I don't think I'm gonna have a hard time finding one." The bottom line is, car is top of the market in price, but bottom of the market in condition.
Yeah.
I do not want a car that came out of Illinois.
No.
Nor do I want a car that's been in an accident.
No, we can absolutely find one that's cleaner, less expensive, and we might have to search around for a little while. It's going to take some digging, but we can find a way better deal.
So this guy that we're going to go see tomorrow, Jake, and this will of course be continued. He's older. He was in Florida,
right?
And the car is blurple, dude.
It's not a great color.
It's blurple, and he's like, first thing he said is, he's like, "It's not blurple, it's burgundy," and I'm like, no.
Who are you trying to convince?
Yeah, it's blurple, which I'm okay with. The color I'm okay with, and actually I would prefer not a red one because the SL's red. So for the video series, you want to be contrasting, right?
Yeah.
So let's go look at that, and if that one isn't, that one has also got a huge red flag. So I asked him how long he's owned it, and whenever you get the answer 2 months, you know, right? Because you don't buy a car.
Yeah, you're either trying to flip it,
or there's something really
wrong.
wrong. You took it to your mechanic, and he's like, the valves on this thing are bent.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So that's also, so we may end up having to look at the Targas
Yeah.
What are they called? They're not Targas.
It's just the hardtop.
Just the hardtop, that comes off. Yeah.
I mean, and the hardtop is removed in a Targa fashion, but yeah, those cars are more common. Might be easier to find. It's still a removable top, so it's sort of like a convertible. But if that's going to be the better, easier car to get, then that might be the way to go.
The problem is our budget is $10,000, and realistically our budget is $9,000 because we have to have some room to make some repairs. Because, like I said, I promised, even a concourse level car has like 7 things wrong with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's keep looking.